Welcome everyone, I am the KnK, and I'm kicking Halloween month off with this quickie review of a Canadian horror parody movie of Friday the 13th Part 3, titled Camp Death 3 in 2D. As I already said, Camp Death 3 in 2D is a parody horror movie of Friday the 13th Part 3, directed, written, and all that stuff by Matt Frame. It features a camp counselor by the name of Todd Boogjumper who reopens a camp that had had all these murders occur years prior. Hence, if there was a movie 1 and a movie 2, this would be the third one, but those movies don't exist, so they just reference that things did occur that would make this act as a sequel. Either way, he reopens the camp for the mentally insane and has a bunch of people come to be part of his camp, where they start getting killed off by some serial killer. This film is written to be one of those so bad it's good type of films, and it does it efficiently. It knew exactly what it was striving for, and it went right to it to do that. I definitely have to give the film high praises for it. The characters are pretty cliche. It throws in as many of those tropes as you can get from a slasher film of the 80s, so that is also a benefit. And there are some truly legitimately funny scenes to be found throughout this film, especially with some of the deaths. One that revolved around a toaster. One that shows why inexperienced people should not play with lightsabers. There was also some funny stuff dealing with the squirrel. On the other hand, some of the characters are killed off screen, and they make a joke about it, like that saying that, hey, some people have disappeared, and that's great and all, but sometimes some of the characters, you're like, oh, they died and they died? Well, I haven't seen them for like 45 minutes now, so I had no idea that they were dead. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit more character deaths on screen. I'm not sure if perhaps that was a budget issue where he had to go with just basically killing them off screen and then having the bodies be found later. Either way, it just didn't work as well for me. Another thing that I found hit or miss were the effects. Like, sometimes the effects were good, sometimes they were intentionally meant to be funny. Other times they were using like blood splatters from Google, and it was kind of like, The same kind of goes to the camera work. The camera work looked a bit jarring at times, the way it was moving at such a high, fast-paced frame rate, it looked like. And the make-out scenes were kind of weird, and I don't know how to describe it. On the other hand, there were also some really good moments with the camera work, such as like a scene when it goes into killer vision, and the killer is following this one girl, but then she stops, turns around, so the killer then bolts to the tree to try to hide to the tree. That was pretty ingenious. I really liked that a lot. There were some periods where the movie seemed to slow down and kind of lull out, where I'm like, okay, can we just get to the next scene? Come on, the next scene. Yeah. Another negative, like I said, that there were character cliches, but sometimes it felt like they were trying way too hard to overact. Like, Todd's uncle is really overacting. Sometimes he's funny, but other times the overacting got annoying to me. Same with the vulgarity at times. This is not a movie for the people who are overly sensitive. There is a lot of dialogue in this movie that is really mean-spirited. Now, it could be that was intentional to mock the dialogue, the vulgarity of the 80s movies, but they had to turn it up a notch because it's modern day and the stuff from the 80s is quite tame to today's audiences. But there were even a few parts where I was like, really? Did you really just say that? Maybe just go down one little knob? Just turn the volume down a little bit? Because that was a little too far. Granted, some of that was kind of funny, but it went a little far. Either way, if nothing offends you, then you're pretty much golden right here. Finally, the last disappointment with the movie is the soundtrack. It's pretty bare bones and quite forgettable. In fact, I don't remember anything about it at this point. Nevertheless, if you go into this movie just wanting to have a good time, you're a fan of the Friday the 13th series and other 80s slasher films, you're probably going to find yourself laughing a lot in this movie, even during parts where you might find yourself bored. You might find things a little over ridiculous, and sometimes that was the point. Other times it might have just been budgetary issues, especially some of the green screen effects. Either way, again, Matt Frame knew exactly what he wanted to do, and he did it effectively, efficiently. He satirized what he wanted to satirize, and it worked for the most part. Overall, I'm going to give Camp Death 3 in 2D a 7 out of 10. It's not anywhere near the greatest parody horror movie of all time, but it does have a lot of legitimate parts that make you laugh. And for that, it is definitely worth checking out when you can. Until next time, bye.